Folks, welcome back to Nostalgianomics. Today we're going to take a look at what's going on all across the markets, and not just the pokey markets, but the S&P index on the stock market, the Bitcoins with the crypto markets, and then we're going to draw some correlations to what we see happening in some parts of the Pokemon market, especially with the Sword and Shield era, primarily the booster boxes and some of the movement that we see there sort of correlating to movement we see other places. And could that mean it's opportunity, or could that mean it's time to sell and crash is coming? That is all up to you to make your decision on. I will give you my thoughts. As always, not financial advice. Do not make any decisions off what I say. These are just literally my opinions off the data that I collect and the takes that I have, that I make the plays based on myself, but you do not have to make the same plays that I do. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but that's what makes this whole hobby and all this investing stuff fun, right? And so before we get into all that good stuff, we got to shout out today's video sponsor. It is lowpopping.com. Guys, as you can see here, Low Popping's got something for everyone. They got BGS, they got CGC, they got PSA slabs. They've got modern, they've got vintage, they've got Japanese, they've got English. They've got other collectibles like sealed booster packs. They've got sealed video games. It really doesn't matter what you're looking for collectible-wise. Low Popping's got you covered, and they are a trusted source to buy from in the hobby. If you see something you like this Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Nintendo DS game, all you gotta do is click on it. It'll bring you to this screen, and you can either just add it to cart and buy it, or since it's over $500, you could actually make an offer on it. If it was over $1,000, you even have an option to buy now and pay later, and you can always trade cards for items you see on their site. So if that sounds like something you want to do, if you see some items on lowpopping.com that you want to pick up, I will leave the link in the description and the comment section below if you would like to check them out. All right, let's take a look at the S&P. As you can see, this is the 1-year chart. If you take a look, you can see something happening. Things are starting to go relatively flat. There's still some ups, there's still some downs, but it's been relatively flat since back in kind of when December started. When December started, that's kind of where we saw the last kind of peak, right? We've seen, it jump up right here in January and hit another kind of peak right around the same level, but it's been very flat for the last couple of months. When we go look at the Bitcoin, the crypto markets, right? Bitcoin's been very flat for that same amount of time, right? It's really flattened out. It's trading in that range in like the 90s to the hundreds right there, but it's not really falling below it. It's not really going above it. And why that's important is everyone likes to draw correlations to the Pokemon market. Well, same thing's happening with Sword and Shield. A lot of those massive increases have stopped, and Chilling Reign has started to go flat and even drop a bit. Evolving Skies has really flattened out and seen a little bit of a drop recently. Fusion Strike has flattened out, and it is now seeing about a 10% retracement from its highs. Brilliant Stars has flattened out, seen a small retracement. Astral Radiance has flattened out. We see Lost Origin has seen a pretty massive retracement. It was getting close to 400 a box, and now it's back under 350. So a good size, retrace there. I would say 10% plus, probably a little more than 10% from the highs on Lost Origin. And Silver Tempest as well is also seeing a retracement from kind of nearing 250, and now it's getting back to the 225 range. So about close to a 10% retracement, maybe not quite 10% on Silver Tempest. And so when we see all of these markets, right, the S&P index, which is basically the top 500 companies in the stock market, Bitcoin, which is like, the highest runner, most popular cryptocurrency that people trade. Not saying other cryptocurrencies aren't still rising and they're not still seeing, huge gains, but Bitcoin's a pretty good tracker of, what the crypto is doing. And then, like I said, the Sword and Shield era with a lot of these high-flying alt-art sets, they are all across the board starting to stagnate and starting to see some price drops, whether they be from 5 to 10%. And so when we look at this, we have to ask ourselves, right? Does this mean that we are getting prepared for a larger retracement, or what people call a crash, a 20, 30, maybe 40% pullback on some of these markets? Or, right, let's go back to these charts. Does that mean it's just one of these, kind of lulls we've seen where things kind of went flat, maybe dropped, and then came back stronger than ever, right? You can see the same thing happen with Bitcoin, right? It went stagnant for, I don't know, what is this, way back in 2024, all the way, for about close to a year, not quite a year. And then it went on another run, and you didn't really see huge drops. I mean, maybe dropped from the 70s and kind of retraced down in the 50s or 60s, but nothing more than like a 15, 20%, kind of drop it from the highest points to the lowest points. Most of it was just kind of a period of stagnation for, a good 8-10 months, right? And so that begs the question, what's going to happen with Sword and Shield? Is this going to be kind of the precursor to a much, further downswing? Or is this an opportunity that everyone's asking about? Alex, when do you think a good time is to pick up Sword and Shield? Well, I've always said it, guys. Whenever you see drops of around 10%, if not more, those are usually good times to start taking nibbles, to start averaging in. Notice I didn't say go all in. Load up on your entire position right now. But after retracements, it's always a good time in any investment, in my opinion. Again, not financial advice. This is what I do, to start averaging into things because they are cheaper than they were the day before. You don't know how far they're going to drop before another run comes. And as long as you're getting a discount of what you could get yesterday, that could be tomorrow's deal. And so that's why I feel that we're starting to see some good opportunities to buy into some of these sets if you were looking to buy in already, right? I'm not saying there aren't other opportunities out there. I'm not saying holding on to cash and letting them possibly drop more is not a good idea. All I'm saying is it definitely is time to start paying attention. And, if they do start to rise, you really have no one to blame but yourself at this point because you have opportunities right now, right? That there's boxes hitting the market. There's no longer, intense price growth where every time you log on, it's higher than the day before. You're definitely having supply hit the market. You're definitely having times of stagnation, even times of drops. These are the times where you want to start looking to take plays if that's something you want to do in this hobby. Again, I never convince anybody to invest in Pokemon on this channel. All I do is anyone that's already interested in it, anyone that's already going to do it, I try to give information that's going to make you better at doing that. That's all I do here. Now, I do want to talk about 151. 151 ETBs are still high, $185 if you count for shipping. And if you're wondering, yes, they still are selling for that price every single day. And if you're also wondering, yes, that is the all-time high and they haven't slowed down. The 151 booster packs are also at their all-time highs for the year, selling, in the $11+ range. And the Charizard, the top hit in the set, is at its all-time highs, still selling near, as you can see here, $250 range, if not more. And so this is what we see happening with 151. Even though Blooming Waters is being released all over at all the Costco's, all over the online, sites, it's been through distribution, we are having tons of product dumped on the market, tons of it still opened, and there's still so much demand. The cards in the packs are not falling, which I said I expected them to, but I said there was always a chance there was too much demand and we wouldn't see anything at all, and it looks like we're seeing that. Now, there are a couple things to keep in mind. There are rumors, some are confirmed, that we are getting more bundles coming in the next, month or 2 months. So we are supposed to get a good amount of them, and hopefully that will help correct the price. However, I do want to draw your attention to one thing. 151 was released September 22nd, 2023. We literally have about 7 months left of this set until it hits its 2-year mark. Once it hits its 2-year mark, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying Pokemon's never done it. I'm going to say it's extremely unlikely we see more printing after its 2-year mark. Meaning, if this Blooming Waters box and these print of bundles that's coming are not enough to quench this demand and put out the fire, in my opinion, again, not trying to cause FOMO. Everyone knows I was going to leave the comments. I know Alex causing FOMO. I don't think it's likely that we're going to see the set drop a significant amount or slow down much, because this is kind of the last-ditch effort, right? We saw it with Crown Zenith. The last-ditch effort was printing late bundles after a massive ETB reprint and then throwing the Sea and Sky boxes out at Sam's Club. That was the last-ditch effort to cool off Crown Zenith before it hit its 2-year mark. By the way, if you're wondering, Crown Zenith, it was released January 20th, 2023. It just aged 2 years. So Pokemon's doing it's the same game plan. They are throwing everything they have at 151 before it hits its 2-year mark, and then they're likely, again, not 100%, but they're likely going to move on. And why I say that is, look at everything they have still to print, okay? You have Paldean Fates, which is going on $100 ETBs. They're going to need to reprint Paldean Fates still, right? You got Twilight Masquerade. People have been calling for reprints now for a while to get that Greninja price down, to get the box price back under MSRP, because that set is literally not even a year old yet, okay? You got Surging Sparks, which is supposed to be getting reprints, but still needs to get massive reprints because it needs to get that price under MSRP because it's literally only 4 months or so old, all right? Prismatic Evolutions, Pokemon said they're going to turn the printers up and print this into the ground, which they need to because it's still extremely high. We're going to talk about that in a second. They have to print more Journey Together because they're not, obviously don't have enough of that because the pre-release prices are still sky high. Team Rocket's going to be after that. Then it's going to be more and more sets while they're still trying to reprint these. Guys, I'm just going to tell you, whether you like it or not, the cold hard truth, this is likely going to be the last runs of 151. There's a good chance we might not see any more ETBs. There's a good chance these bundles that are supposed to be coming and the Blooming Waters boxes are going to be the last chance to cool off the pack price and to cool off the singles price. If it is not enough, it's likely you're just going to have to pay $10 plus for 151 packs into the future until they get to $15, $20. If you're saying, Alex, this is, ridiculous, it's never happened before, it has happened before. Hidden Fates was the same way. Hidden Fates was a $300 ETB, it was more than 151 by this time. It got a late reprint. It did drop them significantly, but there wasn't a long period of time where you could get Hidden Fates packs under $10. Those were always expensive booster packs. It's just happening again, right? It's not that it's never happened. It just hasn't happened very often, and it hasn't happened with very many sets. However, as you guys know, 151 is not any other set. It's 151. It's freaking 151. I think people are going to get used to that new normal, that 151 is likely never going to be a cheap set to acquire. And we'll see what happens with these booster bundles that are supposed to be coming and these Blooming Waters boxes. But as it nears closer to that 2-year mark, I would say it gets less and less likely we see massive reprints when they have so much other sets to print and new sets to keep coming out with enough supply to not be another Surging Sparks Prismatic journey together. And so last but not least, we got to talk Prismatic. Everyone knows the mini tins were just released. The displays are extremely high, well over MSRP. And if everyone's wondering, well, who's going to pay that, Alex? A lot of people. These are all 2.9. These are all today as I'm filming this video. They're selling rapidly. They can't keep them on the shelves, guys. Look at that. These are all 2.9. All those. These are all displays. People are buying them. Even though all the, Timmies in the comments are going to complain and gripe and whine and moan about how expensive everything is and how no one should pay it and how, they're not going to buy it. Well, guess what? All these people online, all these consumers, they're not listening to you. They still feel that it's worth the price. They're paying it. Same thing with these what is he called? These surprise boxes. Surprise boxes, well over MSRP. It doesn't matter. They are selling in quantities every single day. This person bought 21 of them at $60. They're selling. And if they're going to sell at that price, they're going to remain that price. That's how the market works. The ETBs, it seems they have bottomed out. They bottomed out in the kind of low hundreds, I would say, in that 105 to 110 range. That was kind of where they bottomed, and they're right back up to 120. If you're wondering if people are paying that, yes, they are every single day. 120, 150. I don't know who's paying 150. 117.99, 119.99. As you can see, this is what people are paying. These are all, again, all 2.9. All spending that today, guys. The sales are not slowing down. If anything, they're increasing in volume. And so I expect these ETBs to keep rising until this supposed massive reprint where Pokemon said they're going to crank the printers up actually gets here. I think the market's calling its bluff. I think the market is clearly calling Pokemon's bluff. They're continuing to buy it, and it's not slowing down, guys. The booster packs, they bottomed out as well. They bottomed out down in the low 11s. They're right back up in the 12s, and they're still being bought again in absolute mass. It's still one of the most open sets on my live streams. People can't get enough of Prismatic Evolutions. And again, I told you before, there's a very clear disconnect between the broad customer base and the small amount of people complaining all around social media. But as you guys know, the loudest voices, right? The ones who whine and complain the loudest, they're the ones that get heard. And so it gives this inaccurate view that everyone's unhappy. But if everybody was unhappy, you wouldn't see this many booster packs selling, this many ETB selling, and all of these new products selling at the prices they are, which tells me the market values these items higher than what other people think they should be valued at. The Umbreon, same way. It's kind of stabilizing in the $1,500 range. It's off its all-time highs, but it's definitely not crashing. It's definitely remaining very stable at that $1,500 range. If you're wondering if people are actually paying that, yes, many, many people are paying that price every single day. And so if you're asking me what's going to happen in the next, 1 month, 1 year, whatever, I don't know, but I can tell you one thing. Crown Zenith was printed into the absolute ground. Multiple ETB reprints, late ETB reprint, a late booster bundle reprint, the Sea and Sky boxes, which were around forever, and the ETBs are still $110, and the set literally just hit 2 years old. So in my opinion, I don't care what they do with 151. In my opinion, when this set hits 2 years old on September 22nd, there is not a doubt in my mind this ETB will not be above $100. If Crown Zenith ETBs are above $100 after 2 years, after all the prints it got, you are never going to convince me this ETB is not going to be still above $100. Maybe it drops, maybe not, but it's not going to be cheap after 2 years if sets like Crown Zenith weren't. Prismatic Evolutions, same way, right? This may do 100 different things in the next 2 years, but in my opinion, in 2 years from now, it's going to be this price, if not more, the same way Crown Zenith and other like sets are. So that is my take on what's happening around the market right now, guys. I think there's a lot of, kind of profit taking. There's a lot of people thinking that, things have really went up fast. They're kind of, contemplating their next move, especially with the S&P and the stock market, especially with the crypto markets, with a lot of these high flying, Sword and Shield and other areas of the Pokemon market. But look, I hate to even say this because I can't even say anything nowadays without people saying I'm a shill. I'm just trying to protect my own investment. Guys, look, I don't care if things drop 10, 20, 30%. I know people think I do, and they make all these memes about, Alex, you're going to have to go work at McDonald's again. You're going to go broke. All I'm going to do is buy more. All I'm going to do is sit on it longer. I'll sit on another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it takes to go back up, and I'll realize my gains then. I'll keep running everything the way it always has been. And so, when I say this, it's not to pump up my own investment. It's not for my own interest. I truly don't see a massive downturn coming in this market on Sword and Shield era products. I think this is going to be a short-term stabilization period. Maybe they drop 5, 10, 15% on some items, but I think this is going to be more of an opportunity. And I could actually see in the next 3, 6, 9 months, all of those boxes being even more expensive than they are now after people realize this was a golden opportunity and they pick it up when they can. And so that's kind of my take on everything going on right now, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're not. Be back in a new one soon. I am out.